This stage is also how I first learned to play.
Ooh.
I had someone hanging out like in one of the little areas near the bottom of the stage, taunting me until I actually like got aggressive enough to.
Oh, that's
fight
just
and
me
smash. Yeah.
taunting you to take you down there. That's dangerous.
No, I used to do that. Don't worry.
Of course
Yeah.
you did.
What do you mean, of course? How dare you?
Yeah.
Alana.
Anyway.
Danger zone.
Hello and welcome to episode 76 of Rhythm Encounter, the RPG fan music podcast. I'm your host, Mike Salbato, and today we're talking about Smash Brothers. It's really no secret that there's a lot of RPG characters and music in Smash Brothers, so we thought it'd be fun to have an episode about RPG music arrangements in Smash Brothers, a little different from our normal. So before we get into what we're playing today, let me introduce our lovely panel today. So we're starting with Hilary Andreff.
Hello.
And we also have Alana Hagues.
Hello.
And Peter Triezenberg.
Hello.
So as you can tell, it's very early and no one feels like saying anything more than hello, but we're going to push through anyway.
I was going to ask who everybody plays in Smash.
That is a great start. So you should be hosting this one, I guess.
No.
All right. Well, you first then.
Ness. I have to.
Does Ness?
Usually.
And we fit trainers sometimes.
Well, yes, but that's for fun.
Wii Fit Trainer?
Yeah! I love the Wii Fit Trainer. But mostly for fun.
Yeah, mostly for fun. I mean, but who plays games that have fun, okay? You can only play to win, I thought.
Don't even get started on that. After I lost the other week. Oh, no.
Oh. We know who you're talking about. We've played against them, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
I won a couple of times, but yeah.
Oh, good.
I think we each won a couple times too.
Yeah. It's actually, we had a short discussion about 14 right before we started, and it's also like that person you played with, Peter, where some random person was telling your red mage not to cure people, okay? Because you can't have fun, okay? You have to be the most efficient, and that's all that matters.
If you're not going for your purple damage parse, then what are you even doing?
Well, not to me, because I like encouraging healthy habits and twirling around the stage and doing yoga poses. Yes. Okay.
I mean, but who doesn't run a parser while running Toto Rock? Come on.
Man, yeah, right.
Okay. Let's go with Peter. Who do you usually play in Smash?
I have 3 go-to characters. I either play as Bowser for the lulz, because I like to dive bomb people off the stage.
Yeah, it's fun.
I am that person. Corrin, because Corrin has a really great counter, and especially in Smash 4, it was absolutely broken. Mm-hmm. And Joker after the DLC came out, because Joker is just a lot of fun to play as and has amazing recovery.
Oh, nice. I've messed with him a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, once you unlock Arsene, you just have so many movement options. It's really fun to play as.
Nice. Okay, now you, Alana.
So yeah, kind of a mix of people. Marth and Roy tend to be my mains for a long time. I feel like they've kind of swapped on and off between games. Roy feels a bit fresher in Ultimate than Marth to me, even if I persist with Marth because slightly lighter, blah blah blah. Maybe even Lucina because they've changed their skill set or their importance. Also Lucas, weirdly. Lucas is just super fun. I love all of the long ranged attacks that he uses. And as of recently, Pyra and Mithra, they are stupidly broken. Stupidly broken. Mithra is super fast and you just swap to Pyra to do the kill, and it's kind of ridiculous how easy they are to play as. And yeah, fun. They're great.
I always kind of wonder with those dual characters. So
yeah,
glad to hear that it's easy and fun.
Yeah, because you don't have that DLC yet, so I've not played as them.
No, I don't either. I just had the chance to play it the other week.
I got you.
I was like, yeah, this works. Unfortunately, other person is better with them than I am, which isn't really surprising. Well, I will beat you consistently one day. It's fine.
Yeah, well, other person will also let you play a few rounds before casually mentioning that they used to play in tournaments.
I knew even before.
Yeah, we didn't know.
No.
Anyway,
thanks, RPG fan colleague who's really good at Smash.
Yes. It's interesting. I didn't realize you and I had so many overlapping characters, Alana, because I started messing around with Lucas in Smash 4, and I still play Lucas a little bit. And I also used to play Marth for like several games. Although in Ultimate, I also lean a little bit more towards Roy.
Ooh.
I think Roy is a little bit lighter than he used to be. Like, I think he was a little
He
heavier
is.
than I liked. So I always went with Marth, but now I lean more towards Roy. And I also try to play Zero Suit Samus, but I'm not very good because she's too fast. So I need more practice.
I love normal Samus, like Suit Samus. But yeah, it's just that there's too many projectiles for me to really be good with her. But I'll persist, especially with Metroid Dread. I have to make sure everyone knows.
Yeah, Zero Suit Samus has some really, really good like kicks, like air kicks and stuff, which I like. I just got to get better with them. Anyway, all right. Well, that's a good lineup everyone has.
Yeah, and now we get to see who picked music that matches their characters.
Yeah,
and who
actually,
didn't.
there is.
I
some.
did.
There is. Yeah.
I think we picked each other's actually, Alana.
Yeah, I picked one for sure.
I think we did. You did.
True. I mean, I would have, but you know, as much as I would like to make a case for it, I couldn't find a way to bring Metroid music on here.
Oh, I would have done too. I love the Metroid arrangements so much.
I know, me too.
That's the thing about Smash music is like we could make a whole podcast just about that. Like a series. There is so much to work with.
I know. I was hoping that there was, of the many Mega Man arrangements, that there was something from Battle Network or for some reason Command Mission that I could justify it. But unfortunately there wasn't.
Not even Legends, no.
No. What's Legends?
Well, look. Okay, some of us are a little bit more hopeful than you are, even though I've never played it. I don't really know what my hope is directed towards at this point. But
you know what? In general, I am a hopeful and optimistic person, but after what happened with Legends 3, I do not have any hope about Legends.
Oh,
That was brutal.
Oh yeah, don't worry.
It was just too painful.
I mean, I still sometimes use the artwork of Mega Man from Legends 3 as an avatar just to remind myself. But
jeez,
I'll bear the weight of the cross. That's what Mike is like.
No, that's not until track 5.
Oh, yeah.
No crosses until track 5.
Good.
Yeah.
If you're feeling bad about your favorite video game franchises, just remember that Konami just released a series of Castlevania NFTs. That's a great way to honor our series' legacy.
I know. At least they also had that collection.
Yeah. It's something, I guess.
I don't know. I want to get the collection. It sounds good.
It's really good.
We're off topic now. Let's talk about Smash Brothers.
Castlevania's in Smash Brothers. Just kidding.
It is.
Yeah.
But there's just so much talent. It is really, really hard. Very difficult to even know where to begin because we've got most RPG composers that you can think of have done something for Smash. And a bunch of other famous composers that don't usually do RPG music have done some arranging. So,
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to choose from.
Yeah, there was a lot. There was one thing that I actually forgot about until looking through songs again, but there is an arrangement of the Mi Plaza? I think it's the Mi Plaza that Mitsuda did, which is just hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Mitsuda did the Mi.
Mitsuda arranged that
Mitsuda
song.
did the Mi Plaza, and Kumi Tanioka did the Wii Shop, I think.
That's just awesome.
Which is just great.
It's amazing. Like, I remember the Brawl 3 theme is done by Uematsu as well.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of big names in it. And I think what's really cool about Smash generally is like Sakurai. He clearly loves RPGs. Like, he absolutely adores them and he totally gets them. Like, you know, Sora, who is the last DLC character, plays like Sora from Kingdom Hearts. And then, like, you saw his, like, did you see him with the, like, Sephiroth reveal trailer and the Sephiroth, like, demonstration? Like, how much, like, passion and excitement he had for that. And it's like, Sakurai is, like, a fighting game fan and also an RPG fan. It's just really cool. And it all translates so well to Smash. So, yeah.
Those reveal trailers, I mean, you can tell there's a lot of love for the subject matter every time.
Yep, Ridley killing Mario, Sephiroth Ridley killed Luigi.
Yeah.
Sephiroth almost killed Mario.
Yeah, they got dark.
It did. So where are we starting our Smash journey?
We are starting our Smash journey. Actually, let me mention when we were talking about how to organize the songs here, we decided to actually go generally chronological in terms of the Smash games, not the source materials. So basically what we're doing today is we're going to introduce each of our songs as where they originated in Smash, even though I think almost everything here is still in Ultimate. Because Ultimate has most every arrangement from all the other games. But, just for fun, we'll mention what Smash game they started in and the original game the music is in. So we are starting with Peter. You have our first song of the day.
Yeah, so the first song of the day is going to be the song I always associate with Smash Bros. Hyrule Temple from Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Nice. Yes. The very famous temple theme from Zelda 2. And then after that, Alana has our next song.
I do. So I've got Snowman, which was debuted in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and it's made its appearance in all three of the other games.
That's true. I don't know how many songs are in all three of the games. Not that I'm a big expert, but I don't feel like many of them are in all of them.
Not many.
There's a small collection, but not many. And
Okay.
Snowman is one of them, which is cute.
Yeah. All right. Let's go listen to Hyrule Temple and Snowman.
Yeah, so like I was saying, Hyrule Temple is probably the song I associate with Smash Bros. The most. It's a classic stage, and it's just such a memorable song for being from a Zelda game that like is kind of the black sheep of the series. It's sort of since become, I think, synonymous with it purely because of Smash Bros. And I think that's pretty cool. And in general, this song is just like, it's just got such a serene tune to it. Like, I just like, you have that kind of like initial section where it's like kind of building it up, and then it just goes like da dun dun da dun. Dun 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 da dun dun da dun
Dun, 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 dun.
dun 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 dun. It's just it's so fun. It's just such a light, breezy song.
Yeah, I really love it too, and it's one of the first songs you think of when you think of Smash Brothers. I think I agree with that. And a lot of these we're going to be seeing kind of a common thing of what the callbacks are to the originals, and I love the wind effect.
Mm-hmm.
And there's kind of like an echo on the bottom, like a doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, that's kind of echoey like the original. So I love those callbacks in this song, and it does give it a kind of like exploratory, kind of serene feel. And the wind effect draws you right in. That along with I noticed the first time they do the do-do-do-do-do, they do it at a higher pitch, so that to me kind of was a good cue that kind of makes it more of a fighting game track. It was sort of like the fight announcement at the beginning.
Yeah, uh-huh.
It is, yeah.
But then it gets kind of serene from there.
Yeah, and I think like there's definitely harp in the background as well, which really adds to kind of the mystery side of things when you're exploring the temple in Zelda 2. Like I think this is a really, really good track, and like Peter, like, because I played a lot of Melee when it first came out, like this is like these songs, like, because you've got like the combination of like it playing in adventure mode, and I played adventure mode so much. Like, it plays when you're running through the temple with the likes and the redeads, and then you've got the stage, and you know everybody just does like all Pokeballs, like, and all stay down the bottom, don't you? Because really, like Hyrule Temple was like the first big stage I remember as well. Like it's the first like massive stage, and I think it's the only one. It's one of the only ones that's been in like every Smash game since it's come out. Like Fountain of Dreams is another one.
Yeah, it's just iconic.
It is, yeah. I love the use of percussion, the snare drums, and the cymbals throughout, which just kind of drive the determining beat of the song. Like it makes it feel like very, very fast paced, like a frantic run through the temple. And it's not like Hyrule Temple's an easy place in Zelda 2. Like everywhere's difficult in Zelda 2, but like this kind of emphasizes that kind of panic, that kind of difficulty, and that kind of like fighting spirit, for lack of a better term right now, that I think the song needed for Smash. But yeah, I think there's a reason this song's like made its way into most games, because it's just really, really good.
You've got kind of like the elegance of the temple with like the harp and the ascending runs, but then you have the percussion slaps of like, okay, keep moving. It's dangerous. We're fighting here.
It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Thank you. I had a brief moment before this where I was going to comment on how like popular the stage is, and then I stopped and I was like, wait, was it just me? But talking to everyone else, you know, I was pretty sure, but then, you know, you just doubt sometimes. Like, was that just what I always played and my friends always played? But
I've seen memes of this stage on Facebook. Like, I think this is a pretty popular one in the Smash community.
All right,
yeah, pretty much.
I'm not caught up in my own head then.
Nope.
It is kind of amazing though that I know, you know, Peter, you mentioned it's the black sheep. I would maybe argue that the CDI games are the black sheep, and maybe Zelda 2 is elevated to just a gray sheep.
A gray sheep.
But the CDI games never happened, so how can they be the black sheep?
Right.
Oh yeah, right. That was just a fever dream I had. It is kind of amazing though, like that it became such an iconic part of Smash, given that, you know, it's Zelda 2. Like you would really think it would be something from the original, or, you know, even a Link to the Past, but no, I'm like, it's really got stuck in there.
And I think a lot of it is thanks in part to this great arrangement.
I think so. I think the fact that it was a really interesting and different and large stage, like Alana said, and also this arrangement of the music.
Yep.
Yeah, and you had tons of Zelda characters, because like you had young Link, Zelda, and Sheik, and Ganondorf. It's like Zelda had probably the biggest. I think Zelda has the biggest representation in Melee, if I remember rightly, and so it gets
probably
that and Termina, which I don't like Termina as much as a stage, but yeah, it's just really, really cool. Yeah, I really love love this stage. It's still one of my favorites. The reason you probably thought like that it wasn't as popular is probably just because both you and I have played with people who have who definitely prefer their Smash stages a lot simpler. So
Oh yeah, I know. Always Final Destination.
Final Destination and Battlefield,
Yeah,
Sorry.
no items. All right. But yeah. So I definitely have this song really stuck in my head because
Yep.
we played this stage all the time.
It's-
But I like that it still has the same sort of feeling of the original, that kind of weird reverb or echo, and it has this weird feeling of mystery and a little bit of danger, I guess, because Zelda 2 was really hard. But the instrumentation is completely different. I like that they completely changed the song, but it still has that same kind of feel to it, which is impressive to me. And it's a little bit more upbeat, so it does fit a battle theme more, but it's not, there's a lot of songs in Smash that like went really, there's a lot of electric guitar and stuff like that are like, look, this is a battle theme. We want to make sure it's a battle theme.
Or like dramatic tempo changes. Like this is sped up a little, but not as dramatically as some other Smash
and
songs.
like I don't even mind those either, but I like that they found a middle ground here for this, and it still works. So it keeps that mystery to it, but it still feels like a battle song.
Yeah, it really stands out among all the other Zelda arrangements as well. Like you're saying, like you've got like choral version of the main theme. You've got the version of Gerudo's Valley, which ups the acoustic and also adds more percussion. Like a lot of the other Zelda arrangements are brilliant, and they all do very different things. But this is still pretty unique in that it's like a dungeon theme. Is there any other dungeon themes that are arranged apart from like the Dark? Well, the Dark World's not even a dungeon theme, is it? Which is maybe my favorite Smash arrangement for Zelda. But
Ooh, good question, actually. I mean, I'd have to look at a list to be sure, but I actually feel like a lot of them are not dungeon themes.
yeah.
I know there are a lot. There's some boss themes. We've got Ballad of the Goddesses. We've got Minna.
Yeah, character themes, overworlds. Yeah.
But not so many dungeon. Although I think there's some Link to the Past dungeon music. I think that might be a medley though.
Probably though.
Yeah.
You go then.
Link, by the way, a character I used to play.
Yeah, I still play. Like, to get back into the swing of things, Link is my okay, how do I play with swords? And then I'm like, there you go. And then I just move on.
Kirby's Down B, where he turns into like a weight or something really heavy? I feel like that's Link all the time now. He's so heavy now. Or maybe I just played with Toon Link so much that Link just feels really heavy in comparison.
Probably.
Yeah, so, okay.
Well, speaking of chill.
Speaking of Toon Link, here's a snowman.
What?
I don't know.
What?
I told you.
Hillary had it and you spoiled it.
I did. Okay.
You did.
We'll edit that out.
Okay, right. Snowman. So another old NES game, really. So Snowman originates from the very first Mother game, but I think it's probably more famous from Earthbound and Winters. Yeah. This arrangement, interestingly, is Soji Sakai, who does a lot of Smash arrangements, actually. He did the Hyrule Temple one we just listened to. But Shogo Sakai, who composed Mother 3, does this arrangement. And this version of Snowman, I found out today, is actually on an arranged, expanded album called Mother 3 Plus. And largely is very, very, very similar in Smash to that album. It starts off differently on that album. I will get a link for that because I think it's worth sharing with everybody because it is a really cool arrangement. It starts off way more Mother 3 style than it does here. It doesn't have the vocals, for example.
Right.
But it was really cool to find that out. But yeah, like this is one of the few songs in the series that's played in all three main games. This arrangement is sort of based on the Mother 2 version, but like the Mother version is very, very sparse and stripped back, and then Mother 3 uses it very briefly as well. But yeah, I think the main two things for me is that one, this does not sound like a piece of fake, and I really like it for that. And I think that it sticks out to me because I remember, I assume everyone had Brawl and played through the Subspace Emissary, which I kind of love still. Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this plays in like the abandoned zoo area, I think, right before you fight Porky.
God.
And it really kind of emphasized that like sparse, abandoned, like derelict area. But I really think that Winter's music or Snowman is really, really beautiful. I think this arrangement is gorgeous. Like, I think the vocals that happen right at the start, like the just brief like choir, and then about like 2/3 of the way through before it loops, is just really, really gorgeous. It's got a really steady beat, and it's very similar to the original arrangements anyway. Like, the tempo is very similar to the Mother 2 and 3 versions, but like it's not very different. But I think it really lends itself to that, because like, you know, by the time Brawl was out, like Earthbound was still, I still hadn't played Earthbound because it still didn't come out here, and it was still relatively obscure series, so I was just glad enough that it was getting enough exposure. So yeah, the vocals are relatively new to this version, and also the drums as well, and I think that's probably, there's that bit sort of towards the minute part where it starts to pick up and the drums start to come in, and the do 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 starts to pick up, and it just really starts to drive the fight a little bit more. Like, there's kind of a, it kind of sounds like to me this is like a piece of music that's like a determined sad march through a snowstorm, so it like changes that like really calm, I know it's calm anyway still, but it changes like that overall calm mood to like more of a, no, we're gonna push through and do this, and in that way it kind of works. Like it's an unusual arrangement for a Smash game, which I think is why I wanted to bring it, but it's always been like one of my favorites, even before I knew where it was from, where it played, and everything.
I love that they kept the funky bass line. I love that so much in the song. It's one of my favorite things about it. Just that with the really pretty kind of chilly melody. I love those two things together, and I think they kind of, this version does that really well. And I also had notes about the drum that comes in partway through. And I'm trying to remember, there's like a little wind interlude, and I think it comes before the stronger drum beat. So it's almost like you're walking through the snow, and then it gets really chilly, and then you're like, oh, okay, but we've come this far. We have to keep going.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, it makes me feel like if that bit comes in and I'm losing, I'm like, no, you've got to keep going. You've got to win. But yeah, it always feels appropriate when I'm playing as Lucas and that comes on. But yeah. So it's strange that we've never had like a winter's like themed level for Smash.
That's true.
Mother. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, we have the Ice Climbers stuff, but other than that, it's like...
That's true.
Oh yeah, that would fit on that stage actually, but I think it plays in Magicant possibly, in Ultimate. No, I don't remember what stages are in Ultimate for Mother, because I'm not allowed to play any of the fun stages, so there you go.
Oh boy.
I think also interesting thing to note, this song is the first example in our Smash selection of choir, which is used a lot in these Smash arrangements, kind of in the background to help sort of like break up and drive the action, but it still has kind of an underlying role.
Yeah, the choir at the beginning of this is very striking.
Oh god, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it kind of fills both roles in this song, actually, now that you mention it. And we'll be seeing it used in both those ways more.
Yeah.
It's funny, I'm not like super familiar with the Mother series or its music, but even though I knew this track was called Snowman, when I started listening to it, it was actually giving me kind of a desert vibe, just based on other video games. I think it has something to do with I don't know what instrument is sort of doing the main motif, kind of like a wind flute type instrument.
Yeah, I couldn't get that. Yeah,
Hand pipes or something, maybe.
It's like a pipe, isn't it? I think. Yeah,
some sort of pipe flute.
But it's the sort of thing I feel like associate with like an Oasis or something. But when you combine, but then looking at it from a winter perspective, it's like, okay, so having that tune with the percussion in the background, it is kind of like almost like lounge music, like something you'd be listening to inside on a cold winter's day, and I really vibe with that.
Yeah, weird for a Smash game, but I don't know, it works somehow for me.
It is. No, I think that's one thing I like about it, because I like the wind instrument, especially, whatever it may be. And the relaxation part of it, but I don't know if it comes up that much when I play the game, because I think it definitely doesn't feel like a fight song to me, but it's, like you said, it's interesting for that reason. And it's another case of, when's the last time we talked about winter music?
About
a few episodes ago, but it's like, it's another case, it's another kind of song that really emphasizes that, like, winter feel, kind of sparseness.
Chrysanthemum in Winter was a track that someone chose recently.
The Star Ocean one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hadn't considered the desert angle, so I'm going to listen to it again with that. So that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that at all.
Yeah, I guess if you think of like the sparseness of the music, like if there's two areas that are sparse, the Antarctic and Antarctica are technically a desert, are they not? So like, you can see that.
Sand, snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? Just like molecules?
Yeah, I mean, either way, it gets everywhere.
Oh.
Mm,
I hate
Look,
snow.
look, we spent like 15 minutes dusting off my car with snow yesterday, okay?
Snow is a novelty in the United Kingdom, especially where I live. Like, well, it's not a novelty for most of the country, but certainly down where I live, it's
Oh.
an extreme novelty. So
I'm not complaining. I still like it.
I know.
Apparently, I'm supposed to get sick of it once I live here long enough, but so far, I still like it.
there you go.
Okay. Are we ready to talk about more Mother series music?
Yeah.
I think we are.
Okay. What do you have, Hilary?
All right, so I picked a tune from Mother 3 that shows up in Brawl. It's Unfounded Revenge / Smashing Song of Praise. And unsurprisingly, Sakai was involved with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 3 in a row here.
Right.
I wanted to go with something I wouldn't normally pick, and I know there's a lot of Pokemon music in Smash, so I decided to bring on Route 10 from Pokemon Black and White, and this was a Yoko Shimomura arrangement, so really excited about this one. Let's go listen to Unfounded Revenge / Smashing Song of Praise, and then Route 10 from Pokemon Black and White.
So we're ramping up the tempo a little bit in this block, which is good with this one. And there are two main things that I wanted to bring up that are kind of important when we're talking about Smash music that show up in this. And one of them is the fact that this is a medley a little bit, and there's some really great medleys in Smash, so I wanted to represent that. But I also wanted to point out, like, this song points out something really fun about the Mother series in general that I also wanted to point out, which is the tendency to sample and take a bunch of music just kind of from our general cultural consciousness and use it. And in this particular song, it's the beginning of Unfounded Revenge. It's loosely based off a Shostakovich symphony, which, so if you thought the beginning sounded kind of like Russian folk, like Russian dancing, you're kind of correct.
Mm-hmm.
I did think that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, Mother does that a ton, to the point where I think in Earthbound, there were even licensing issues with some of the samples and music. And
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. So just wanted to point that out. And also, it's just really, really fun. It has a kind of frantic energy that we haven't seen so far. So I think it's kind of fun to transition to the more like composed block to this just kind of like what is going on medley that's just very all over the place.
It's funny because, like, given that these two songs are both, they're like mid-boss themes, aren't they? They're not really like boss themes. They're always used against the pig mask army. Like, there's this real dissonant mix of like goofy with like and militaristics with both the drums and the horns. Like, we haven't had a lot of horns recently in this episode, so like it's real. They're like the two defining pieces of music, especially in Smashing Song of Praise, which is way more militaristic in this version than Unfounded Revenge, which also has a bit of that like marching drum beat in Mother 3. But yeah, like, as far as I can like remember, because it's been like a little while since I've played Mother 3, this is definitely a lot faster than the original as well. Definitely at more up tempo. And I think I'm glad you said fun as well, because like I was sitting here, I was just like, this is just stupid. Like, you know, it's like, it really takes like the absurdity of you fighting like Nazi pigs basically and like ramps it up.
It does ramp up the absurdity. My first note is that they got rid of the dramatic militaristic drums in the Unfounded Revenge.
Yes, at the
version.
Introduction. Yeah,
right, and they added the claps, which, you know, that if you want absurd, there you go. And I just really love the way they made the two tracks overlap too, because you go from something that's pretty on beat to the syncopated rhythm in Smashing Song of Praise, and it's done really smoothly, which I appreciate. Always want that in a medley.
For sure. I think it's cool that they do it as well, and they do it quite a lot with Mother 3 music, because Mother 3 has a massive soundtrack. I think it's like 250 songs if I remember rightly.
It was a large.
But music is such a big part of the Mother series in general, like from, you know, what are they called? What's the band called? Runaway Five. And also, like, in Mother 3, like, part of the combat is rhythm-based. Like, you can do combos based on following the beat of the song. And it's different for every single song. And it feels easier to pick up on in these versions, because obviously, like, the percussion and the drum is so much more obvious. But Smashing Song of Praise is the one I was always really good at, because it's just like boom, 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 and it's like, and it shows, like, combining these two songs together shows how like really meticulously the soundtrack was put together in the first place. And you know, Sakai's got just a great like understanding of his own music, which makes sense, but like he translates it really well and just really ramps up the kind of chaoticness and also the goofiness of it. Also, like, I don't like New Pork City, because like it was like kind of the second massive stage that they brought in. I love New Pork City, but I also don't like playing it. But like that was my first ever exposure to one of those chimera with a little duck on their head, and they're very cute, but also terrifying in Mother 3. But I associate this music with those. That's goofy and terrifying at the same time.
I say my two notes for this song were dancing and danger. The beginning,
pretty much.
the beginning of the song is such a fast-paced like bop. Like, I feel like I'm just like bobbing my head around, like, oh yeah, I can get into this. And then all of a sudden it transitions into that like dun 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 dun. Like, it's like, oh, now there's a fight happening at the club. I need to get out of here.
Or join in.
So it's just, I really appreciate that. Like, it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like there's any discord between it or anything. But I just appreciate that transition.
Yeah, it's just really well put together.
Yeah. New Pork City is a stage that I think if you have any less than at least 4 people, it just feels too big.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't played with, the 8 players that much. I think it's definitely meant for that.
I'm sure I'm not the only one, but whenever anyone picks that one, I'm also just sort of like, oh, I don't want to go there.
Well, yes, there's also that. I mean, I think it's a cool stage. Like, the layout is fun. It's so big if you don't have enough people.
Yeah, that's just a really cool, like, especially now having played Mother 3, like, all the little...
Mm-hmm.
Seeing the whole of New Pork City, like, bundled together like that, it's very cool.
Same with Magican, like having played through Earthbound, they do so much. They pack so much from the game in there because that one's a stage that changes. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's cool.
All right, so I can't really talk about how parts of the song sound like Russian folk music because they literally are now.
Well, they're modeled after it.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
No,
you got it correct.
That's true. I did. I think it's the closest we can ever get to having some of the cool like Tetris arrangements from Smash on here. So I'll take it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't have a lot of familiarity with the original, but I do like, I still listened to it before this, and I do like that this one picks up the pace more compared to the original songs, and just it lends itself really well to Smash and being fight.
This is the one where everyone's running around, and it's like a really crowded stage, and no one really knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. So again, don't play it in New Pork City unless you have 8 people. Yeah, it is pretty frantic, but I think it works very well because of that. Okay. Pokemon. I told you before the show, Peter, and actually probably Alana too, but I know Peter. I'm sure you know this song. I have not played Black and White, but I still like this arrangement very much. So I brought it, but if you want to add in some context when we get to it, like I would appreciate that. So I didn't only pick this because Yoko Shimomura did the arrangement, but I certainly don't mind that fact. The strings on this, I just think are beautiful. And there's a lot of Pokemon music in Smash, and some are definitely more high energy. So this is like a little bit more low key compared to some of those. But I still think that the rhythm of it and the strings, like it ups the tempo a bit from the original. Even though I was surprised listening to them back to back, like it's not like drastically different from the original song.
It's not, no. Even the instrumentation's really similar.
I was about to say, you've got that accordion sound, and then I think the arrangement adds that really cool, just strong violin.
Yeah.
But the instrumentation in both the original and the arrangement kind of toss the parts around, toss the melody around in a way that feels really nice and natural and fluid. So I think the arrangement captures that from the original really well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so Route 10 is the part in Black and White where you're the path that leads to Victory Road, where they have the gates that check your gym badges. So yeah, no, this song definitely has got that feeling of like we're on our way to like the end of our journey, and gearing up for a big final fight. Nice. I think you actually fight one of the rivals here, too. But yeah, in general,
you fight Sharon. Yeah,
which is fun because that's like he's got this whole character arc going in Black and White. But this is a great arrangement. I just like you said, Mike. Like I love the strings in this. Like that just Shimomura and string instruments, man.
Oh, definitely
strings and pianos. Yep.
Mm-hmm. It really, really elevates this piece in my estimation.
Yeah, and like what you said, Hilary, about like the accordion and the violin. I feel like not only do they like flip around the melody a little bit, but like they almost replace each other at parts of the songs in the beginning. Like you start off with the harpsichord. The original starts off with a guitar, I think. The guitar's present here again, but it comes in like much later and it like pushes forward. Like there's a determination about this, but there's certainly like a calm, resolute, reflective determination that I think is kind of a positive spin on it. Because like by the time you get to Victory Road, I always feel like I don't ever feel like I'm nervous. Like I've done 8 gyms, I've got this. Like I think I feel pretty good in myself.
Look how far I've come.
Exactly, yeah, and especially like with Sharon in Black and White, as Peter said, like he has a bit of a story arc which comes to like fruition in Black and White 2, where he becomes a gym leader. So it's really cool to have that like fight and then match that up with that. But yeah, this arrangement is gorgeous. Like I do love how like the harpsichord becomes the violin, and it becomes the harpsichord or the accordion again, and then they both play together, and it just like enhances like that very much kind of like last stage of the journey kind of perspective that I think this arrangement really captures. Like, I think the only real difference between this arrangement and the original is just that the original is a little bit slower and maybe a bit more somber, but like there's definitely a kind of somberness and a seriousness to Black and White that a lot of other Pokemon games don't really have, given that it's a lot more story driven than the rest of the series, or it's story driven to a point where actually I think it's a good story. So yeah, I just think that like Shimomura does some really cool stuff with this song, and like a lot of the Pokemon arrangements are brilliant anyway, but this has long been one of my favorites from one of my favorite games. So yeah, super, super good, and I'm glad it's here.
Don't mind me. I'm looking at the instrumentation on the original for Route 10 because I'm curious.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah. Black and White has a really good soundtrack, actually. In
It
general.
really does.
Yeah, a long soundtrack too. Again,
That's
like
all the
4
Pokemon
discs?
soundtracks
Looks
are pretty
like it,
long.
yeah.
Yeah. We still don't have a Sword and Shield soundtrack.
It's kind of in that sweet spot for Pokemon where it's like we aren't 3D yet, so we have like the best sprite work in the entire series. And we've got this just like fantastic chiptune soundtrack that takes like full advantage of the DS's hardware. It's just like, Black and White is sublime. I know we're almost inevitably going to get Black and White remakes eventually, but after playing Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I'm kind of over here like, maybe don't. Maybe leave it alone.
Yeah, just port them instead.
Just port them instead. I'd play ports of Black 2 and White 2, then I don't have to spend $200 on a copy.
That's true.
Oh god, yeah, maybe they should combine. They should just do straight up one version and combine the two of them.
Yeah.
That would be way more sensible at this point. But yeah, we don't know what they're gonna do. They'll probably just be remakes, which would be cool. I'm really interested to see that. But yeah, I certainly have skipped over Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl because Gem 4 is not one of my favorites anyway, and trying to reassess my feelings on the Pokemon series in general. But Black and White are like my favorite or second favorite games anyway, so I'd probably pick them up regardless.
Very, very off topic, but yeah, they are super bare bones remakes. Like I liked them because I haven't played Gen 4 before, but yeah, if you already had, I'm not entirely sure what the appeal would be unless you're just super nostalgic.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, don't want to spend the money for the originals.
Oh god,
Yeah, I mean,
they're
that's
so
fair.
expensive. What the hell?
Speaking as someone who recently sold a copy of Diamond on eBay.
Ooh, nice.
Thanks, pandemic.
Well, I mean, it's also been out of print for how long?
That's true, but I feel like the price
wow,
of
wow.
retro games skyrocketed during the past couple of years.
Yeah. could be.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of good Pokemon arrangements in Diamond and Pearl, like the Dialga Palkia battle theme is really good in Smash, and also Cynthia's the Champions music. They're such good arrangements, and they're already brilliant in the originals anyway. So yeah, if people want 2 more like Pokemon arrangements, go check out, do those 2 because they're fantastic.
keeping the bar high.
Yeah. Good.
Oh yeah.
Also good options.
You know what else is a good option?
What's that?
Your next pick.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you not lamenting my next pick then?
Why would I lament Castlevania music, Mike?
I don't know. Yeah, so it's interesting that I need to actually check the game. I assume that the website I was looking at has this accurate, but the song from Lament of Innocence is just titled Lament of Innocence, but I think it's actually supposed to be Leon's theme.
It is Leon's theme.
It's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's supposed to be, but I don't remember what it's called in Smash. Do they actually say Leon's theme? I'll have to look again. But
I think it's called Lament of Innocence because I think it's Leon's theme is essentially like the main theme. Maybe
Right.
It's been a while since I've played Lament of
right,
Innocence.
and it's
but-
also titled "Lament of Innocence." I think.
I know.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure Leon himself gets some representation.
Yeah.
In
What-
Smash.
Leon is one pretty Belmont amongst many pretty Belmonts. The first pretty Belmont.
That's true.
There
Mhm.
you go.
So, yeah.
That's a
So,
handsome-
so my first song in the next block is Lament of Innocence from Castlevania, Lament of Innocence. And then after that, we have a song from Peter.
And yours is an Ace arrangement, right?
Yes, arranged by Ace.
Nice.
Yay.
Mhm.
Yep, and then my pick is Lost in Thoughts All Alone from Smash Ultimate's soundtrack. This is one of many arrangements of the Fire Emblem Fates theme. This one by Masato Koda. And this is the version that is all orchestral and doesn't have the lyrics to the song.
Mm-hmm. So we have 2 new challengers, 2 new series this block.
Yes. So, Lament of Innocence / Leon's theme. It must have been a tall order to arrange a song that was already really suited to a battle theme in the first place. I think the slight change in instrumentation here that Ace did gives it an interesting twist. Like, it's a little bit different from the outset, but once you get to about 35-36 seconds, there's this choir that comes in, and it's incredible. It's emotional, it's haunting, and even though like this was an arrangement done for Smash, I think it's really notable that the choir and that style of singing and the style of song, like all of it actually would also work if you reinserted it into a Castlevania game.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, like it. I think it's really, really genius that it works. It's a new twist that works for a fighting game, but they kept it true to Castlevania music or like a gothic theme. And I think that's just great.
I kind of feel like Ace almost like I don't want to like simplify this like analysis, but they almost like un-MIDI'd this song basically. So like they've just replaced all of the MIDI sounds with, I don't know, they probably weren't using MIDI on the PlayStation 2, but like you say, like if there's like two instruments, again I associate with Ace, it's like pianos, violins, and guitars. That's three instruments, never mind. But yeah, like I think to like expand on something you were saying, like it sounds like it come from a Castlevania game. Like I think if there's a series I can consistently identify like the arrangements from, if you just like wiped my brain of any Smash knowledge and just put down a soundtrack in front of me and went, okay, what game's this from? I think I could get every Castlevania one, not just because like I'm a big fan of the series, but just because like I think Castlevania benefits from being like, you know, every single song in a Castlevania game has to sound like appropriate for the area, but also give some kind of like driving momentum and also some like combat, like kind of push for some determination, because you know it's an exploration game and you're wandering around areas that you're going to be fighting enemies for, and the music doesn't change like in an RPG where you get into a fight and it's like cue battle music, unless you're like fighting Dracula or something. But yeah, like Lament of Innocence, this arrangement, the choir is easily my favorite part of this. But yeah, I do love it like 220. Where all of the instruments just come together. But I really think like that intro to this song is really what cues you in. Like there's you know, like the Bloodstained song when you're on the boat, where it, like the violins come in, the very first level of Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Like it has that really like dramatic gothic opening, and I feel like so many Castlevania tracks, or at least Michiru Yamane, like starts off so many like iconic songs from the series, and that's sort of kind of similar, like and things like that. But yeah, it's so good, this game.
I think that's one of the reasons too, like you identify so many of like Castlevania music and can point it out so well, is because she is so good at capturing that sound. And like I don't remember if she started before Symphony of the Night, but like definitely since Symphony of the Night, like she definitely became the sound of the series.
She did some work on the Sega Master System, the Genesis one, Bloodlines, and then Symphony of the Night was the first one she did fully.
I say I absolutely adore the electric guitar in this song, like when that kicks in. This whole song, Castlevania in general has always kind of given me like a rock and roll rock opera aesthetic, like that heavy metal kind of super, I don't even know how to describe it, like the kind where everything is kind of over designed, but in a good way, if that makes sense. That aesthetic that lends itself that you see on like heavy metal album covers, and so when you've got all the instruments coming together at that bit in the Lament of Innocence song, it just really I was headbanging along to this. Like I feel like I should be in a mosh pit somewhere.
So not just gothic, but intensely gothic.
It's
really tracking.
Go ahead, Hilary. Oh, okay. I was just saying, like, yeah, I was agreeing. Like, yeah, it's like, yeah, there's like two levels. It's like you go to gothic, you go to like intense gothic, where it's like, yeah, you've got that like escalation over the course of the song that I really appreciate.
I found myself kind of tracking that actually when I took my notes. I was like, okay, you have the female voice, and it gets kind of chaotic because you have some like note runs, like fast running notes in the background. Then it cuts to just vocals and percussion, but then you have the bells, which are definitely a cue to me that like, oh, things are getting real, and the guitar coming in between 1 and 120, and that really amps it up. So it was just really neat to like go through the song and track how it builds. And yeah, once again, like slightly different use of choir than we've heard in other tracks, but really effective and very much Castlevania.
I feel like Ace have played enough Castlevania games to get it. Like there's not really any gothic equivalents in Xenoblade, actually. So it's a really, it works for their style of like music completely. Intensely gothic is like the perfect way to describe it, really. Is it really Castlevania music? It's not intensely gothic. Like,
not really, no. And what's more gothic than I Am the Wind?
I know, right?
I don't know why I brought that up. It pretty much just ground the conversation to a halt, but yeah.
It's one of your old jokes. It's fine. I'll let it pass.
Well, it wasn't really the proper segue to Peter's song.
I know. I was thinking like, wait, how is Fire Emblem gothic?
As I say, it ground the conversation to a halt and left us in our thoughts all alone.
Ooh.
Yeah, see, there you go. See, that was my plan. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. This Lost in Thoughts All Alone is one of my favorite pieces of video game music like ever, which is funny when you consider that it's in a video game I absolutely despise. I wish I liked Fire Emblem Fates more so that I could appreciate this song more. And also Corrin as a character is like one of my favorite Smash characters, which again is always something that I found very ironic. But in general, this is just such a good song. Like this motif is kind of the main theme of Fire Emblem Fates, and it plays constantly. It's normally a vocal theme with lyrics. There are a Japanese version and an English version, and that kind of underscore the journey that the character goes on and the divide between the two nations that Corrin hails from. But what I appreciate about this orchestral version is that it's just so bombastic. Like this is like it really does feel like this kind of like soaring, triumphant version of that song. That really fits the style of Smash Bros. Like, oh, we're here to throw down, and this is like my entrance music. But it also kind of goes in line with the other Fire Emblem remixes that you've got in the game. But I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts on this because I don't know if y'all have the same like personal love-hate relationship with Fire Emblem Fates that I do.
I've never played it. I'm very hit and miss on Fire Emblem anyway, because I don't really love strategy RPGs. I've played a couple of them, and I like them, but Fates was one I avoided because of the fact there were 3 games, and I was like, I don't want to play 3 games. Like, I was just kind of like that, and then the reception.
It was so odd.
This arrangement is really beautiful though. Like Fire Emblem music again, like Smash is like Mother, like Smash introduced me to Fire Emblem at this point because we hadn't had a Fire Emblem game ever when Melee came out and like Martha and Ray came out, and we were like, who are these people? And then Fire Emblem 7 came out over here as just Fire Emblem, and there you go. It's like one of Nintendo's best properties at the moment. But yeah, I remember hearing the original song, which is the main original version, like the vocal version that plays when, oh god, what is her name? What's the name of the dancer? What's the name of her character?
Azura.
Oh wow, I just looked that up.
Azura, yeah. That when it's like her vocal piece, isn't it? Or like it's the least associated with her at some points, and that's the version I'm really familiar with. So this is like massively different. I think it's interesting you described it as bombastic because it starts off that way certainly, but this song really goes through the motions. 148, it slows down a lot, and then the percussion comes in and gets heavier. The horns come in, and then it which I feel like are really strong staples of a lot of the Fire Emblem arrangements in Smash. But then it swaps again to something really light on your feet, and it starts off louder than it ends to me, and then it loops back, which I think again is very military style music. It's going through the whole things of a fight. You start off really energetic, you go in, and then you sort of as the tide shift between the two sides, then the music changes up to match who's winning, who's losing, and things like that. And I think this song does use vocals very gently in the background. You can very faintly hear a choir at certain points throughout, which is a vast contrast to the version I'm thinking of, where it is a vocal piece entirely.
Right, it's kind of a character singing.
Exactly, yeah. And a lot of the Fire Emblem tracks again use choir, like the Fire Emblem theme they brought in Brawl, which is literally an entire choir just singing in Latin. It's so good. But yeah, this is gorgeous. It really ramps up the Fire Emblem Smash slant that I think a lot of Fire Emblem tracks do. So yeah, it's really, really cool.
So Peter, you mentioned this is a recurring theme in the game. So in Fates, there's a instrumental version too.
I wish I could say, because I bounced off of Fates really hard, so I don't know if they play just the title screen music in Fates is a really downbeat piano version of this song. And then there's two different lyrical versions, one for each of the nations, and then like another version that's like a unity, like combined version of the two of them. So it does come up very often.
Okay.
So and I think it's fitting too, because I'm pretty sure like all of the music from Fire Emblem Fates that's in Smash are versions of this song.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing that kind of technically ties us into the Mother games is that, like Mother 3, Fire Emblem Fates has a gigantic soundtrack.
Oh god, yeah, it's huge, isn't it?
Isn't it?
3 games.
I feel like it's 4 or 5 discs or something.
That sounds about right. Yeah, I remember it coming out and Marco saying like, "Who wants this huge soundtrack?"
Yeah, it was just so daunting, the idea of reviewing that. Yeah, I think, well, even though there are vocal and non-vocal versions of this, I do kind of like the idea of pairing this with the previous song, because I think it's interesting that the last song, one of the defining things about it in this arrangement was the addition of the vocals. And then to me, if you're comparing this to the vocal version from Fire Emblem, the big thing that differentiates it is the fact that they removed the vocals. I guess they didn't really remove them if there are instrumental ones, but that's what I listen to, like back to back, to compare original to Smash. And I like it. I like that it does. The vocals are beautiful, but I do like this one that you can focus on just the music.
And it leaves room for some horns and some drums and a cool little piano interlude.
Yeah.
It does, yeah. So there are 7 discs and a DVD.
Okay, I knew there was a DVD. I didn't know if it was one of the 6 or 7, but yeah, it's so much.
It's 8 discs,
Oh
and
my
each disc
gosh.
has got like 17 to 21 tracks on it from what I could... Oh god, no. Oh, is that the DVD? This is just me looking at the soundtrack, like, live. Okay, yeah, there's like 17 to 20 songs on each song, and then the DVD itself has got all 115 songs on it.
Amazing.
It's 414 minutes long.
There you go. Take half a day and listen to Fire Emblem Fates music.
Doesn't sound so bad.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's worse ways you can spend your time.
Yeah.
I dropped
Alright.
another version in the Slack chat.
Oh, okay.
Great.
Ooh, nice.
Are we ready for our last block here?
What could it be?
Very recent stuff.
Yes. So, yeah, some of the most recent music, at least for our purposes in Smash, are some arrangements from Final Fantasy VII. So we just have a Final Fantasy VII Smash block.
Woohoo!
So, and Hilary and Alana, this is your section, so I'll let you guys introduce yours.
Okay. So I struggled because I wasn't sure about bringing on 2 songs from the same game, but I just could not let this really cool arrangement of Cosmo Canyon by Yoko Shimomura go. I had to bring it on. So that is my pick.
I'm glad you didn't, because it was one of the ones I was thinking of, but I also thought, like, nope, I have to bring this song, because 1, it's Aerith's theme, and 2, Keiichi Okabe rearranged it, so I had to bring it. Like, it was like a legal obligation. So here you go, Aerith's theme by Keiichi Okabe. One of the best arrangements, one of my favorite arrangements ever. So yeah.
And Okabe's not a name we've seen on a ton
Yep.
of Smash arrangements yet. So that's exciting.
I'm not sure. Has he done any before this one? I don't remember.
I don't think so, but I am going to double check that really quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, while you're checking, we'll go listen to some music and come back. So let's go listen to Cosmo Canyon and Aerith's theme.
So, Cosmo Canyon. I just really love this instrumentation, which is part of the reason I had to bring this on. I think the original track kind of lost out in that respect just because of the constraints of music in games at the time. So, really happy to bring this on for that reason. Such a good flute, and I love the guitar strumming. And I just really like this is another example of a Smash song, big surprise, that really builds up the intensity as it goes through. And I noticed Shimomura doing that with ascending runs toward the end of the first melodic phrase. And then there's strings, and then there's another interlude to kind of break up the action, but she just does such a good job of building it up. So I don't know, I'm just really excited about it. And like, I think of the songs we brought on, I think this one is one of the more sped up, but I don't mind the increased tempo. I really don't. It's just kind of a slightly different mood, but it still feels very Cosmo Canyon to me.
Right. It still has the right kind of instrumentation. It just sped up, because I think the original, well, I'm getting into my notes already, but the original, the pace it was at, I don't think would lend itself to Smash quite as well. So I think it works, but it feels more like a battle song. I like the more pronounced drums. So like, it's very recognizable as what it is, even though it's definitely a different version of it. And also, can we talk for a second about...
Oh, no.
Can we talk about Hilary's very first note on this song being, "I love the instrumentation, crying eyes."
It's so good.
It is. I didn't see that. It's just cute.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right about the faster pace. Like, it had to be like that. Because I saw a lot of people, like, were a bit mixed on it. Because actually, really, like, if I'm thinking of arrangements of songs, like, Cosmo Canyon is not one of the first things I would think of to rearrange. So,
From 7.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a really interesting pick, and it's actually a song that doesn't tend to get a lot of love in arrangements either, even though it's a really lovely song. Like, it's so different, and especially now since we've had remake, like, it's different to even the Red 13 version of Cosmo Canyon, which itself is a variant of Cosmo Canyon's theme. But to me, like, what's really cool is, like, the original sounds very much like, you know, a canyon village or a canyon town, which is basically
it's
what
an
it
area
is.
theme.
But this sounds like a jig. Sounds like an Irish jig to me, right? The pipes, the wind, the way the drums and the like bells are used throughout. Like, there's almost like, I don't know what the name is for like feet, like ankle bells, or like bells that you wear on your body and things like that. The stuff you wear in Morris dancing and stuff. It's kind of like that. But like, it starts off with like that very like earthly kind of, I don't want to say tribe kind of like theme, and then at like 57 it switches to like that way more like kind of like jiggy upbeat music. I love the use of, I don't know whether it is a glockenspiel, but let's go with that. But like the glockenspiel and guitar towards the end of the song are really, really fun. It almost sounds like a daytime version of like what Cosmo Canyon would be.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
If Final Fantasy VII was Xenoblade, this would be the daytime version of it.
There we go. Yeah, exactly. Daytime, people are out and about. Maybe some of them are high energy. Maybe some of them are dancing.
Maybe some of them are awkwardly trying to equip some ankle bells on Red 13, and he's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, who knows what they could do with it in remake, considering they expand on chunks of the game quite a bit in the first part.
That's going to be so interesting to explore Cosmo Canyon more. I'm pretty excited.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine it would be fairly large.
Yeah.
I feel like they could really expand the scope of it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great arrangement, though. I'm very fond of the flute in this as well. It just makes the whole place feel very serene and tranquil and isolated, kind of. Like, that sounds like you stepped into something that is separate from the rest of the world.
Such a different location in Final Fantasy VII anyway. It's interesting because it kind of doesn't go with either of the Final Fantasy VII stages we've got in Smash,
Yeah.
which is
Right.
very fun. I like that though. Like I say, it's such an unusual pick for an arrangement, but I'm glad they did it because it's one of my friend's favorite like 7 songs, so it's always really cool. It's got some like a couple of like Shimomura staples, but it definitely sounds very different to a lot of stuff that I'm like extremely familiar with. Like, I think it probably is way more in line with like Hamana stuff, which makes sense.
I mean, that use of strings, though,
Yeah.
it's really great the way they get brought in, and it is. I think it is kind of important to mention because both our picks really like you they would not be your first thought for 7 music, and you're right, there's a little bit of a disconnect between them and the stages that are available from Final Fantasy VII, but it's great to see them there nonetheless.
Yeah. Well, especially since when when Cloud was added to Smash, they didn't really get to add, well, they didn't add any arrangements. There was a limited selection of music. Yeah.
It was just fight and fight on, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, which are, those are the right choices to start with. But I'm glad when they added Sephiroth that they added so many more 7 songs and got some arrangements in there. Really fleshed out the selections.
Yeah, I think Aerith's theme is more of an obvious pick because it's so iconic.
Yep.
And there's a lot more you can do with it for sure, because we've already got some like sad arrangements, but like Cosmo Canyon is just like a town theme. There's nothing like really intense about it. There's nothing like, it's just Cosmo Canyon is like the hub of knowledge and where a lot of the knowledge about the ancients and the planet comes from anyway, other than Aerith. But
Right.
yeah, it's just such a cool pick.
But speed it up and get those drums going, and it works.
Sure does.
All right, well, speaking of Aerith's theme,
We'll jump straight into it, I think. Yeah.
Oh, it's so epic.
Oh, it's so good. And like, when I don't usually watch like reveal trailers for Smash characters or any of like any of the like showcases where they show off the characters, but like given like that it was Sephiroth, not that Sephiroth's like my favorite villain, but like given how iconic he is in, like you couldn't have picked like a more, one, people didn't expect it because like we've already got 7 representative, and 2, like it's damn Sephiroth, like the sword's like 8 foot long and you're gonna want to try that out for definite. But yeah, like I remember the trailer playing and like obviously they gave you like a snippet of all of the music, and when Aerith's theme came on I was like, that's Okabe. I was like, there's no way that isn't, and then I remember looking up and I was like, it's definitely Okabe.
Wow,
I was
good
very
ear.
happy about that. It's the vocals.
Yep.
It's the way the choir's used in this
Yep.
song. Because actually, this is pretty different from, like, at least most Nier music to me. Because, like, essentially, like, everyone's familiar with Aerith's theme. Like, Aerith's theme is incredibly sad. It's incredibly, like, beautiful. It's incredibly slow. This is, like, the absolute opposite of it. It's like, if Aerith's theme was a piece of credits music, it's an extremely up-tempo celebratory version of it. It kind of, the way the piano and the harp is used is just, it really is uplifting. It's like the vocals are like Aerith herself or the ancients are singing it, and the plucking of the harp is just really, really gorgeous. But yeah, it's like One Winged Angel is in this game as well. I think the Advent Children version, the original version, and like a short rearrangement maybe. But like it's like the total opposite of that. Like One Winged Angel is like this intimidating song, whereas this is like almost like if you're gonna do 7 Remake traditionally and you fight Sephiroth at the very end of the game, you'd almost have the first phase as One Winged Angel, and then the last phase is this, because you're using the power of the planet and relying on Aerith herself to like beat Sephiroth, and there's this like really gorgeous like victory version.
triumphant, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I really think it captures like this like correct interpretation of Aerith that Remake has kind of run with, in that she is this positive, beautiful, energetic, life-affirming force of energy, and this song like is absolutely all of that. Like, it just makes me feel really good, and like I love playing to this piece of music so much because it's just so good. But yeah, I know like Aerith's theme is like it's been arranged a ton of times, and it always goes for that softer version, and there's like plenty of piano arrangements that like lean on the happier slant, but this is like definitely way more of like, you know what, we're not going to mourn Aerith anymore, she would want us to celebrate her, and this is the piece of music we're going to do to celebrate her. So
Right, it's
yes,
not mournful.
fantastic. Yeah, which is funny given Okabe's track record in Nier music. Like,
Yeah,
there's some
but-
hopeful,
Right.
But
yeah, it's hopeful music, but yeah.
I was gonna say, but I think a lot of Okabe's music, like a lot of the really memorable tracks, do actually kind of lean on the
Yes.
like, well, there's hope, there's a little bit of triumph. You have to notice the moments of triumph.
Absolutely,
Yeah, and I feel like this arrangement of Aerith's theme kind of leans on that, and it's another example of that. And I think the thing that struck me as very Okabe-like was the use of the vocals, because you have that single vocal on the melody with the harp, and then the choir takes over, and you have this big sound, and that's very like Nier and Okabe to me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I could totally see them doing something like this in Remake, like you said. It's got that like uplifting, triumphant, like the return of the life stream and the ancients theme going, and without getting into specific spoilers from Remake, but with some of the story stuff they're doing in that, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we do wind up getting a very different take on Aerith by the end of it, depending on how it all plays out. And Okabe is just fantastic. Like, the choir in this is just out of this world.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to use vocals.
Oh god, yeah, for sure.
Can we talk about the fact that maybe it's slightly ironic that Aerith's theme was added to Smash when Sephiroth was added? But yeah,
well, maybe not, because she ultimately has to triumph.
well, that's true. I mean, they
Exactly.
obviously do have a certain tie to each other. But yeah, I also would never have guessed they would have adapted this. I guess I wouldn't have guessed either of these songs would be added to Smash. But yeah,
It was a nice surprise for sure.
it was. Yeah, I do like that it has those dramatic vocals, and there's a bit more bass to it than you might expect, but it's still a beautiful song, and still there's some touches that still make you think of the original song, even though it is more up tempo and energetic.
You can't escape that melody. Like,
No, I mean it's the last note I wrote is basically that I think it's just a brilliant arrangement, but I wouldn't expect any less from Okabe.
Nope, you wouldn't. I love, maybe last thing I'll say, but I love how it starts differently as well. 'Cause the original just starts with the really slow piano, doesn't it? It goes do 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 do, and then this instead starts in the bit where it's it almost takes the bit in the original song, which is where you really start where you would probably start to cry, right? It's the bit where Cloud lays her in the water and she descends down because it's the do 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 do. But this one is it bursts out and you're oh my god, this isn't sad anymore. It's if I'm crying, it's it's a good feeling kind of thing.
It kind of reminds me of the rendition that they had in the live orchestral concert that they do. That also starts at a different part of the song.
Yeah.
And I could definitely see this being not saying they're going to do this, but you want to bet there's going to be a way to save Aerith, or Aerith's going to come back because of some multiverse stuff in remake part 2 or 3 or whatever. Can totally see this kicking in when she walks in.
But I mean, you can bring her back in the original. Don't you remember if you go into the church and press a certain combination of buttons or whatever all those urban legends were at the time? You can see her ghost.
And you have to swap discs. Or something.
Yes.
God.
I mean, a lot of people went very out of their way because they wanted her back.
Right. I mean, I understand it.
Yep.
She's a character that inspires dedication in people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Which is why this arrangement is perfect for her.
Mm-hmm.
It's very unifying.
I mean, one of us on this show even wrote a whole feature article about her.
Mm-hmm.
They did, yeah.
Maybe we should link that in the show notes.
Good call.
You can do that, yeah.
I will
why
do
not?
that. Well, we have a few other things to link, I think. You mentioned some earlier, so there'll be some fun links there.
Oh, we should also link to a list of all the weird music references in the Mother series.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you get me those links and I'll put them in there.
I'll try and find a source for that.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just such a breadth of stuff. It's so cool to see a lot of these tracks rearranged, because again, when does Mother music ever get arranged outside of a couple of fan albums? And actually Pokemon arrangements have picked up in the last couple of years. Zelda's popular, Final Fantasy's popular, Fire Emblem is again you only really get those big albums. Castlevania gets a couple, and then obviously there's games, obviously looking at DLC characters alone, we've not covered Persona, we've not covered Xeno anywhere at all. There's tons of Zelda stuff we could have picked, and just a bunch of other things.
I think it's worth noting that Xeno and Dragon Quest both kind of lost out in Smash in terms of getting those original 4 Smash arrangements, sadly.
Yeah, which I'm sure we might have brought something like that here, but I think actually I didn't actually technically put that as a rule, but I had a rule for myself where I didn't want anything that was in Smash that was really an arrangement from another game. There's a ton of Castlevania music. There's a lot of Dragon Quest, and a lot of them are remixes or arrangements, but they were remixed for a previous Castlevania. For me, I stuck with arrangements that were arranged for Smash, But there is a lot in the game that we just didn't technically fit with what we were doing here.
Yeah, I tried to do that as well. Yeah, certainly like the Castlevania's got a couple of arrangements from Judgment, that fighting game, which actually didn't really happen. Like, so it's just a lone music soundtrack.
Okay.
Yeah, it was that fighting game with the really bizarre character designs. Like,
I forgot about that.
they almost look like OC character designs, and I'm like, all right, sure, like on the Wii. But yeah, it's actually really just a soundtrack. There's no video game associated with that.
It's interesting they would make a soundtrack to a game that didn't exist, huh?
Right. The music is actually really good though. That's the really annoying thing. Like that version in I can't remember what song it is in Smash Bros from Judgment, but it's such a good version of whatever it was. But yeah, like there's just so much stuff. Like, you know, even like characters that don't get represented outside of like sorry Stephen assist trophies, the Golden Sun.
I thought about the Golden Sun arrangement. Yeah.
Button Kaitos gets a couple of tracks in there as well. And yeah, there's just a real some like real Japanese only stuff as well. It's great. So good. When's Metroid going to be an RPG though? That's the real question. So I can bring Norfair on, like,
right.
You know,
I said earlier, I looked to see if there was any of the RPG Mega Man games. I just for fun, I knew it wouldn't be on there. I also looked at the list of Sonic music because there is one Sonic RPG.
Yeah, but the music's bad in the Sonic RPG. It's bad.
Well, that's why it's not here.
I know. I played that day one.
That game is an aberration.
It's so weird. It's so, even now, like decades later, it's so weird to think that one, there was a Sonic RPG, and two, BioWare made it.
Right.
Bizarre.
Yeah, BioWare doesn't make games. Just kidding.
They make experiences now, don't they?
I'm still bitter about Anthem. Don't mind me.
Well, I don't really have a horse in the race, but I do hope that they are doing something interesting with Dragon Quest by BioWare.
Oh my god! Well, can you imagine though?
I'd love that.
Actually, that would be really interesting. Maybe that's what the new Dragon Age is.
The new Dragon.
There's going to be an X-rated Puff.
Oh my god!
Oh.
Turns out the new Dragon Age is actually just Dragon Quest 12, and they've been lying to us.
They just mashed everything together.
Yeah.
Speaking about music, I am very interested to see what happens with the music in Dragon Quest 12.
Yeah,
but that's another topic.
That is another topic. I think we've like veered off enough that we're about done here. So I'm gonna rein us in as much as I want to talk about all that stuff. But so yes, there is a lot of music in Smash. So much that I'm sure we will never get a soundtrack for Ultimate because I just don't think it's logistically possible. I know there were some soundtracks for some of the others, like partial soundtracks.
Yeah.
That I don't know if they were ever sold or just through like Club Nintendo, because I have a couple of them. But yeah, I would love all of this on a single album of however many, Blu-rays it would take, but I don't know that we'll get it.
More red tape than all of Kingdom Hearts.
No kidding. So much red tape. But, at least we can hear it in game and on YouTube and wherever else.
Yep, just carry a Switch around, turn the screen off, and put your headphones into it. It's like it's not a big MP3 player at all. Like,
I mean, I'm really happy they added that option. That was
it's a really cool idea, actually. Yeah, I like that. I'm just playing.
I know. Yeah. So that was our episode. Thank you for listening. Thank all of you for being here. I think we had a really good mix of songs, so I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So that was our episode 76. So coming next, towards the end of January, we're going to have our Music of the Year episode of Rhythm, which we haven't done in a while. So I'm looking forward to that. That's just going to highlight some of our favorite music of 2021, and something we've actually had planned for many months, because Alana realized that just with our schedule for Rhythm Encounter, episode 78 will release exactly on February 14th. We figured we're going to do a Valentine's Day themed episode of love music and romance music.
Aww.
Yeah, I'm such a romantic. I had to put it in there.
I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone chooses for that.
It's gonna get sappy.
I've already got pics on there.
Oh, you do? Oh shoot! I
do.
didn't even look at the card yet. Oh my gosh! All right,
nice.
I knew someone would pick something that was less expected, and there it is, your second track. Okay, I can't wait.
Oh yeah, I'm ready to talk about it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And unless we change plans after that, we're going to do, speaking of Kumi Tanioka, we're going to do an episode on her music.
Yay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we have some interesting stuff in the lineup. So please look forward to all of that. If you have thoughts on this episode, if you have topic ideas or any other feedback, you can email us at music@rpgfan.com. You can email me personally at mike@rpgfan.com. And how can people get in contact with everyone else? Hilary.
Discord's pretty efficient. I'm EP Fire there.
Peter.
As always, you can reach out to me on Twitter at IHaveFury. I'm also can be reached via email, petert@rpgfan.com.
And Alana.
You can tweet at me at Alana Hagues, or you can find me on Discord as Alana.
So easy that way.
I know.
So if you enjoyed this episode, please check out our other episodes of Rhythm Encounter. We also have 2 other podcasts at RPG Fan. We have Random Encounter, which releases every other Monday, alternate Rhythm Encounter. That's where we talk about current stuff, upcoming stuff, RPG news, reviews, other content on RPG Fan. And then every Thursday we have Retro Encounter, which is the podcast for retro games and whatever else in between episodes. So that's always fun. It used to be Random Encounter was our main podcast, but I kind of think Retro Encounter is our main one now just because it's so frequent and has so many followers now.
I was going to say, if you're listening to this exactly as it comes out, it'll be a Skies episode, so don't worry. I'll be there.
That is exciting. I'm so glad you're getting your Skies of Arcadia episode.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting 2 of them, which I'm very happy about.
Yep.
And very scared about as well, but it's fine.
Oh, you'll be fine. No one at RPG Fan knows that game like you.
That's true.
No pressure. So yes, also last thing here, if you want to review us or subscribe on Apple, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, there's too many. I can't list them all. But, wherever you can leave a review or subscribe or show your support, we appreciate it. So thank you in advance if you can do that for us. And that brings us to the end. Because there are literally hundreds of songs from Smash, we couldn't end this without some kind of bonus track. And I decided to claim it for myself because I couldn't narrow down my 3 picks to 2. So I thought it would be fun if we ended with the remix of I'll Face Myself from Persona 4.
Another new challenger.
Another new challenger. I think it's just a really fun and interesting arrangement. So that's what we're ending with. So
It is a great arrangement. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
It is really good.
So, all right. Thank you again, everyone. And we're going to close out with I'll Face Myself, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye.
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 Poop.
Poop. Dun 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 dun
Dun dun dun dun dun dun dun. Okay.
It's so good.
You can keep going.
No. Good.
This is gonna wind up in the outro. This is gonna.